plaintiff, Monty Lockery, dated and lived with the defendant. Monty claims while living together, the defendant admitted to cheating on him. So things went downhill from there. Monty's suing his ex-girlfriend for the balance due on several unpaid loans. Defendant Heather Brookhart Rollins says only after she moved in with Monty did she realize that he is a homebody and a hothead. Heather claims Monty constantly smoked pot, and since their breakup, he's been harassing her. So she's countersuing.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
All right, before we get into the case, I did want to mention that while you may not partake in cannabis, I run a cannabis dispensary in Oregon and have my own business, so I did bring a shirt for Officer Doyle. I know he's a big fan, so just stop on by and I'll hook you up.
Well, I'm sure he'll accept your gift. However, even though I tease Doyle all the time about being a marijuana smoker, that's not true. And if it is, I don't know anything about it. And if he did, I wouldn't care about it. But nonetheless, I have no idea whether he does. So that's a running joke that we have. And all right, give me some background on your relationship.
The defendant is my ex-girlfriend. I met her in early 2011 through work. We began dating shortly after that. Around 8 or 9 months into the relationship, I offered her to move in with me. She was essentially couch surfing at friends' places during that time. And after she moved in, things went well for a while. I basically paid for everything in the relationship, or 95%. She essentially agreed to start paying living expenses, which didn't actually end up happening. There were other issues, including drinking. I'm not a fan of drinking. I do enjoy cannabis occasionally for medical purposes, but I'm not into alcohol, basically. So we agreed that the give and take there would be that I would drop her off at the bar. She could hang out, drink with friends for a couple hours.
You go to the weed house.
Exactly. And
house or whatever.
And then I would pick her up and bring her back. There were some issues with that becoming more frequent. And so around a year into the relationship, I confronted her about those issues, as well as the issues of not paying her way in the relationship.
All right, you switched up on her in 12.
Right. So
right. Go ahead.
It wasn't going to be free forever. We had agreed on approximately 6 months. By 10, 12
you had already
months
had that understanding.
I said, hey, time's up.
Got it.
So she got defensive at that point, said, I don't need to rely on you. I can stay at a friend's house, and that's what I'm going to do. So she started saying with our other friends at the time, we still were in communication, essentially still in a relationship at that point. But I suspected her of cheating and eventually confronted her about that. She denied it at first, but eventually was crying and admitted that that was true.
That's a lie as well, Your Honor.
But things just went downhill from there. I got an offer for a job in a location about an hour away, and offered her at that point, hey, do you want to end the relationship or do you want to move with me? She chose not to move with me, and shortly after...
Why'd you have to end it? I'd fly here to Chicago to come to work.
Be that
you
as
couldn't do 1 hour?
If it was for a strong relationship, I would have, but things were going downhill quick, so it wasn't worth it at that point.
You tell me about the relationship, ma'am.
Well, as the plaintiff said, we met in 2011 through our mutual jobs, and shortly after we did start dating, and I did move in with him. And you know that saying, you don't know somebody until you move in with them? Mm-hmm. That's very true in this case. I was 22, going on 23 at the time, so of course I went out with my friends, I danced, I drank, normal 22-year-old stuff. The plaintiff, on the other hand, is very much so a homebody, prefers to do a whole lot of nothing socially, and smokes, obviously, which is not something that I indulge in at all. After moving in with him, some anger issues kind of started to show, which is really what started the downhill of the relationship. Little things like getting stuck on a video game would cause explosive anger, breaking things, going through the house, stomping, kicking, screaming, slamming doors, whatever.
While he was on weed?
While we were living, yes, sir. And it's not just
because
occasionally.
Weed's supposed to settle you down.
I know, yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, those little things like that, and then kind of the beginning of the end with the anger was when we went to visit my mom, and my dog, who rides in the car with me everywhere, got into some leftovers in the car, and the plaintiff found him and locked him in the trunk of his car in the middle of August as a punishment for it. And it really upset me. It really upset my mother, which is where I moved to, by the way, not to couch surf at friends' houses. And that really kind of started the breakup.
Yeah.
We were just very different people, and I couldn't help but wondering if we ended up having children together. And I actually asked him this, what he would do if a child made him upset. You know, if you're going to do that to a dog.
You have anger issues, sir?
No, sir. In regards to what she just commented on, the person she calls her mother is not biologically her mother.
I'm adopted.
Let's get to the loans. Go ahead. What are the loans for? How does she owe you this amount?
So back in April 2012, I lent her money for a vehicle.
How much?
It was $4,100, and I had previously loaned her $2,500 a few months prior for a vehicle, which she then sold and put that money towards this new vehicle. I had previously had her sign a promissory note for the...
You have that today?
Yes.
Did you sign a note?
I did, and it was paid off.
Oh, okay. She
So
paid
I don't
that
know
one
what
off?
that one's about.
Correct.
All right.
So January 2012, she signs a promissory note for $2,500.
Paid it off.
4 months later, she's paid it off.
Go ahead.
I asked her to sign another promissory note. I had just had her sign the promissory note 4 months prior. She basically played into the puppy dog eyes, saying, oh, you should trust me. We've been together for a year now. I shouldn't have to sign a promissory note. You should trust me, show good faith in the relationship. I expected to be with her for a long time at that point, and agreed on the verbal communication of an agreement, as well as knowing the fact.
When was that?
That was April 30th, 2012. The additional $660 on that on the suit is for parts and repairs on that vehicle. In the 5 years between the original loan and now, she has only paid me $140, which is less than 5% of the total loan.
Ma'am, what do you say to this?
I did not cheat on him or anything along those lines.
We're at
and
the money now.
As far as the loan goes, it was a gift. There was several instances of I didn't talk to him, and the only way he could get me to talk to him was by threatening to sue me. He's been threatening for 3 years, Your Honor, and he's just now doing it.
All right, so what were you telling him when he was asking for the money to be repaid? That's a simple answer.
Sure.
It was always a gift. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You didn't lost your mind. You need to leave that weed alone.
And I did say something along those lines because it was not an issue until a year and a half or so after we split that
Right.
he found out I was seeing somebody else that we mutually knew. That's the person he accuses me of cheating on him with, which is very untrue, Your Honor.
You think that's what triggered this request for monies that you say were a gift?
Absolutely.
How long ago was it that you started dating the new guy?
3.5 years ago.
So 3.5
when I met him.
years ago was when he began requesting money?
Yes, adamantly.
Okay, and what has been happening for 3.5 years? Once again, have you ever said to him, in 3.5 years, I don't owe you?
I did, and then I just finally agreed to pay him because I got tired of being harassed.
So you have agreed to pay him. So why haven't you?
Well, the only way he would take money from me, Your Honor, is to meet with me in person. I asked for PayPal, Western Union, any way to set up and arrange.
Sir, is that true?
Definitely not, sir.
I have
text
messages to prove it.
from her where she goes back and forth from admitting that she does owe me, specifically saying I owe you X amount of
All right,
money.
today she said she was going to pay you.
Correct.
And you wouldn't give her an avenue other than seeing her if she didn't want to see you. What text do you have you want to present? And then, ma'am, I heard you say you have some. Hopefully what you're about to provide me over there says, how can I get it to you without seeing you, or something of that nature. Now, let me read some of these texts you have here. Yes, sir, this is the first thing you sent me. The first piece of evidence you provided, front page. Send me your Western Union info or PayPal. I will make a monthly deposit. Do not ever contact me again unless for some reason there is a missed payment. I don't want anything to do with you. She said she tried to pay you.
And he-
Did you give her this information? Did you give her PayPal or Western Union info?
No, at that point I refused because I had previously agreed, which the other text messages show that she
What do you
agreed
say,
to
ma'am?
pay in person.
I have the same strand of messages, and he is telling me that he would rather take it to court instead of arranging this peacefully. And I asked him to quit texting me. At the end of that, he continues to text me until I block him.
Exactly.
I mean, you just keep trying to further the conversation, though.
He does.
Now, what is your counterclaim for?
It's for harassment, Your Honor.
What has he done?
He consistently has tried to stay in touch with me by holding this over my head. He will threaten me until I speak to him, and his response will be, oh, hey, you are alive. I just want to talk.
What do you mean, threaten you?
I'm going to take you to court.
How?
I haven't seen money.
By phone?
By texts and...
You have a text there where he's threatening you?
Yeah, where he's saying that he's going to take me to court or he's going to show up at my work.
That's not a threat. Well, showing up at your work, he may not understand, but that's
doesn't-
illegal. But doesn't sound like he's threatening to do anything other than take legal action against you, if that's what you're telling me.
So I have 6 months of one-sided text messages from him trying to stay in touch with me,
How
asking me to
often?
hang out every day almost.
Okay, that's the type of thing I need to see. And he's asking to hang out with you. It's not just about the money.
Correct.
All these calls.
Those are actually text messages in 6 months, one-sided from the plaintiff, and there is
Did you ever go to the authorities? Or
I did in February when I received.
And what happened?
So they contacted him and told him to quit harassing me because I tried to get a
Did
restraining
you get
order.
contacted
Yes, Your Honor.
from the police?
Yes, he did.
Correct. She
All
filed.
right. All these texts I'm reading had nothing to do with the money. I want you back. Will you go out with me? So much so the police had to get in touch with you. Your judgment is granted. $4,100. How much did you want?
$4,620.
You got it. $5,000 for you. Do the math. Have a good day.
I'm just glad this is over and I don't have to expect any more messages from him.
I'm disappointed that she was unable to pay back her loan, which the judge sided with me on. As far as the harassment claims, I stopped contacting her once the police were involved.